Hello. Welcome to Lords of the Storm. I'm excuse me, just waiting on Multi because he's having some computer problems. And guess what? Gizmo has abandoned us. Well, his work made him abandon us. But what can you do, right? Not much. Not much. How is everybody tonight? Exactly. We've got so much stuff to talk about. So much good stuff. Very excited. Very, very excited. Gizmo's going away. No, he's not. I'm just kidding. He'll be back. I blame his job. I've been having lots of fun with heroes, though. Oh my gosh. New Team League. Team League is awesome. Pretty excited about that one. Brightwing and Kerrigan reworks. Pretty awesome. Pretty good. All right. Hopefully Multi will be back shortly. Get him in here again so we can get chatting. Wicked, how are you doing tonight? Let me see if I can add us to communities. Dashbird. I'm doing wonderfully. I just exercised, so my arms are very tired. But other than that, it's good. 5 weeks till BlizzCon. I am so pumped. I am so pumped. It's going to be really, really fun to have some BlizzCon here soon. Hope we will see a lot of people. I'm really excited for World of Podcasts. That's going to be on Thursday night. Going to be on the Heroes panel. That'll be super, super fun. We got a lot of great panelists, actually. Pretty much everyone from last year. All the core guys, me and Gizmo. Bacon, Jules is going to be there. Kyle's going to be there. Scott's going to be moderating it. It'll be really, really good. I'm really excited for that panel. And BlizzCon announcements in general. Are you going to ask a question this time? What are you going to ask? Or do you know? Are you just going to let it like come to you? Off the cuff? You have to ask something. You have to ask something fun. All right, let's see if I can get Multi back here. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, Skype music.
No change.
Still won't launch? Fun,
I
fun.
think we gotta go with your copy, and if it doesn't work, pull it off the video.
Cool.
Which would suck, but
All right. Well,
can you pull it off the YouTube if we have to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Looks like my recording is going, though.
Yeah, so either way, I think we're covered.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's...
Luckily, it kept all my links up, so that's good. Let's see.
Let's see if I can get you back on here.
Are we live now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, let me pull that up then. I'm so weirded out by the fact that Chrome updated and I didn't tell it to.
I mean, Chrome always updates without you wanting it to.
I just, thought this was a free country. Guess not. Who else do we have in the chat today? Wicked and who? Does that narrow it down some?
Definitely Wicked. I'm trying to get your picture back.
Was it coming through Skype okay?
No.
Looks like
Well, it's coming through your Skype okay. I'm just trying to get it into
the thing.
the thing.
See, I can't blame you. I do not know how to get into the thing.
Let's see here. Let's see. Window capture. Yeah, I don't know why it's not liking you. We're just having all sorts of problems tonight.
It's been the definite pattern for my entire night.
It's been one of those days. It really has.
I think so.
Well,
Try to move closer to my mic. Okay, good.
Okay, I might just have to put a picture up as you.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. It was, well, I don't know.
It was working. Now it's not, but I don't want to.
Should I hang up and call back? Because will that do anything?
Probably not. It's just not picking up the Skype window.
Gotcha.
Oh well, I'll throw a picture up.
As long as people can hear me.
It doesn't really matter. It's just gonna be me, guys. Face.
I am wearing my Horde shirt though, but whatever.
Well,
I also brushed my hair.
Oh, did you?
I don't do that every time, so I was going all out visually. It's okay though. It'll be fine.
It'll be okay.
I think so.
Here we go.
How's the sound balance between the two of us? If anyone in the chat can confirm.
Yeah, wicked.
I'm trying to sit a little closer to the mic, see if that just kind of fixes it. Because, there was still always that slight imbalance when it's just the two of us.
Let's see. All right, I got it. I've got it. Here we go. Here we go.
You got the video?
No. I'm just adding an image.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Is it Alpacazor Jennington or...
I don't have that picture. I'm not that fancy.
Well, that's good because he's not... Okay, that's good. Is that just from your Twitter?
It's in my repertoire of Lords of the Storm memes.
Oh, to send a fist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
I learned from this week's Lagging Balls that it's short for amethyst.
Oh.
How about that?
Crazy. Well, are you ready to start Are you ready to start this thing?
Oh,
Leave
yeah.
a little
Oh, yeah.
space so you can throw the intro on, and then let's get this thing going.
Sounds good. Leave some space for the Lores of the Storm thing too. That's the only other bumper I'm putting in.
Okay.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 185 of Lords of the Storm, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I am TBK Zord. Joining me is Multizord tonight because Gizmo had to work. And when the job calls, I guess you
answer.
respond, yeah, if you want money. So that's usually a pretty nice thing to have. But
Is that how it works? Like, if I start
That's what I
responding,
hear.
will I actually have money?
you
That's
know,
crazy.
maybe it's
Huh.
yeah, it's kind of weird how that works. But we're here. We're holding down the fort tonight. We've gotten pretty good at this duo thing. And so
Right.
we're gonna hop right in. There's, oh my gosh, so much fun stuff to talk about tonight. But first, Multi, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing quite well. Yeah, there's a ton going on in Heroes right now. New event, new stuff going on, new lore to talk about. You know, hey,
Yeah,
can't complain.
yep, lots to talk about. I am doing well. It's been a long week, honestly, but I'm pretty excited because all of it will be worth it. Because tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I get to go to an AMC theater, sit down, and watch the digitally remastered 1986 Transformers the movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's going
Yeah,
to be
first-
glorious.
For a second there, I was wondering what you were watching because as for like regular mainstream movies right now, there is nothing out.
No, there's really
Like-
nothing until like November that I want to
Yeah,
see.
seriously, like Fantastic Beasts and a few things. But yeah, my wife and I, like, it's kind of our thing to just go out to the movies. Like, that's always been the thing that we enjoy doing together the most. And we haven't been out in like 2-3 months, and it's gonna be at least another month before anything cool comes out.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
unless
been
you want
rough.
to watch like A House with the Clock in Its Walls or something.
I mean, I do enjoy some Jack Black every now and then.
In moderation, though.
In moderation. Yeah,
Right.
it's good in moderation.
I feel like the previews on that one made it look like it was not in moderation, though. So,
It's a
I
lot
don't
of Jack Black. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've been a huge Transformers fan for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be fun because it's going to have a preview of the new Bumblebee movie, which actually looks halfway decent.
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
My nostalgia is kicking in full force. You've got the touch. You've got the power. And speaking of the touch and the power, I actually have no lead in for that. It's Heroes news time, though. It is. We've both been playing some of the Heroes things, and there's lots of new stuff. So we're going to dive right in because we have a lot to cover tonight, Multi, including
do.
some things that we ran out of time for last week.
Right. So we don't want to ramble on and on at the beginning and then run out of time again. Although we're less likely to do so because we don't have Gizmo this time.
It's
so.
true. I mean, what other things could we talk about? Like, what other movies? I'm just kidding. Let's jump into the news. So this week, and this was actually just a few days ago, Heroes of the Storm tweeted out, and this was a tweet, interestingly enough. They tweeted out they made a tweak to the system to improve overall wait time. It has decreased the upper limit on queue times for players in the silver to diamond brackets back down to much more acceptable levels without degrading match quality. This will be more obvious to players whose rank has diverged significantly from their MMR and could experience queue times upwards of 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, 15 minutes is pretty ridiculous. No question there. I was in a queue for a good while today, though. I mean, I don't have a very big sample size since this was posted, but yeah, I don't know. And in the end, it came down to, you know, my match was still fine. Like, there was no tank on either side. This was quick match, though. And but at least we had a healer on either side, and it was, as a comp go, you know, fairly balanced. So I don't know, but you know, this is good to see. I mean, I'm always all for just cutting down on the queue times and increasing match quality. So if they've done it, then hey, can't complain.
That's another one of those things that brings up just kind of the interesting tidbit from it is the players whose ranks have diverged significantly from their MMR. And I think that just goes to show that we need a single MMR based visual system over ranks. Because if you can get in a situation where your actual rank and your MMR are that much different that they don't correlate anymore, there's issues.
How does that happen? I guess
I don't know.
One idea is that, so since we now have the decay when you don't rank up for a couple seasons, maybe people are just decaying down to a spot that, they are higher in quick match but lower in their rank or something like that. I'm not sure. Or maybe their MMR is low but they've just crushed out their win rate in ranked and thus it's diverged that way. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a mix of the two.
Yeah, I'm honestly not quite sure how exactly that happens, but apparently it is happening. And so the fix is probably just to make it one system, which they have said over and over that is eventually going to happen. And there were a few changes to ranked with this patch that may signal a possible move in that direction.
Maybe.
Also, speaking of ranked, the ranked season 4, which we just started yesterday on Tuesday, the ranked season 4 mount has been revealed, and it is a crab. It is a giant crab.
A giant stone crab that actually the epic version, the higher ranked version, is of course more spiky than the one that isn't.
I mean, spikes automatically equal higher power level.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, if anything, WoW has taught us this.
And Heroes, else. I mean, that's definitely been the case here the whole time.
So many spikes. But it's a giant crab. So
yeah, it is.
If you get your team league wins, if you get, I believe it's plat in Hero League, you can get the base level of giant crab mount.
And
so
remember,
that's
it's
pretty cool.
Easier to get those team league placements in
than
ever.
Yep. And we'll be discussing that here shortly. It's looking like, as of now, the ranked season will be going, of course, starting yesterday, Tuesday, to the week of December 14th. So I'm theorizing here that we may get some systems update information at BlizzCon, and there may be some sort of a ranked break between like December, 14th ish and like early January.
Yeah, like first or second week of January. I could see that.
Where
honestly.
We'll start the 2019 season 1.
Right. And I mean, those breaks happen from time to time in other games too. I mean, I know like Overwatch has the occasional break between seasons and that kind of thing. And honestly, like if that's what they need to implement some improvements to the system, or I don't know, I don't know if I'm looking at a pie in the sky here, but the personal based matchmaking rating, for instance, then yeah, totally. It doesn't bother me to have a little bit of time off,
Yeah, and we still haven't heard about performance based matchmaking.
No, we haven't, which kind of
makes me wonder if it's just been completely reworked into something else, or if they've got other plans. But speaking of that, let's just jump into that, right?
Yeah.
We are here. We are at the patch notes for the Fall of King's Crest, Kerrigan, and Brightwing rework patch. So before we talk about the event, we'll just jump into the ranked play thing because that's kind of what we're talking about right now anyway. So ranked season 2018 ranked season 4 has begun. You should have gotten your rewards. The big thing for this time, and we talked a little bit about it last week, is Team League now supports all party sizes, including solo players. Heroes of the Storm is primarily a team-based experience, and with this change, we're hoping to make it easier to have the experience without putting restrictions on party size. The current system, competitive solo players do not have many opportunities to find groups of players within a ranked queue. To give these players more options for the competitive experience, we've removed all party size queue restrictions from Team League. Our hope is that this leads to a more robust Team League experience and solo players find more regular groups to play with. And so we talked a little bit about possible ramifications of this in the future as things go along. And it does make me wonder if this is really a setup for a lot of huge sweeping ranked changes, starting with the 2019 season 1 that will be announced at BlizzCon.
That would be something major for them to cover at BlizzCon. I mean, every year they've kind of gone over, okay, is this a major systems overhaul? Is this, a bunch of visual stuff, etc.? So, I mean, yeah, I could maybe see a lot of work in that area. Also, with community stuff as well, things like clans and that sort of thing could be on the docket as well. Who knows? But I'm just speaking hopefully there, of course. But yeah, you could be onto something there. This could be like the first step in an overhaul. It seems though that, okay, they're trying to push it to where that solo queuer can get into Team League and thus have a better chance of maybe finding a 3 or 4 stack or whatever and regularly grouping with them afterward. Yeah, I'm sure that can happen, but I also am sure that the majority of the time it won't happen. And so I'm kind of in the same boat that we've been at with some time here, of thinking that if they really have their eye on the ball of a system like that, it's got to be something along the lines of what we've been talking about for the past year, a system where you can either post yourself in an LFG type setting like you can in WoW and some other games, even Overwatch now, or again, some sort of like search feature to, okay, I play this role, I am on these times, who else plays, who's in my same rating bracket, and et cetera, et cetera. Like, it would be incredible to have an in-game system with that. Even a third party, not third party, but even an external website that we could use would help. Some kind of forum that we could hook up to our accounts and link that way. But again, like a true in-game one would be the dream there. So, and it seems like the nice thing about this for sure is that this developer comment in this patch note specifically points out that Blizzard really does agree with us in this, in that like it thinks that the Team League experience isn't exactly what we all want right now, and they're implementing changes to try to get it to where we want it to be. So that's good news across the board. It's just a matter of like how well is it going to work versus what one of these other possible pie in the sky systems might be.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I very much think this is a step in the right direction. In fact, I spent a decent chunk of last night doing Team League. I did Team League with a 4-stack. I did Team League with a 3-stack, and I did Team League with a 2-stack. And it was really, really interesting because the 2-stack we got a 2-2-1. The 4-stack, of course, we got the 4-1, and the 3-stack we got 3-2. So just anecdotally, it seems like it's going to try to not put a bunch of solo players in the same thing, which makes a lot of sense.
It does, but if you're trying to make friends to team up and that sort of thing, typically the 2-2-1s and the 2-3s don't really get that job done, unless I guess you as a 2-3 just absolutely click with the other teammates and then you just party up for another game afterwards. But
which we actually did.
You did? Okay. All right. So maybe I'm wrong here.
It's there. Yeah, and again, I could be wrong, but I feel like this, and I plan on playing a lot of Team League this season. I'm going to try and really crush out some Team League because I want to kind of see how this new system works, especially doing some Team League games solo. But I feel like if it does work how I think it does, and it tries to put like 2-2-1, 3-2, 4-1, 5, of course, together, and then match those up as closely as possible with groups of the same types, and shy away from putting a bunch of singles into the same Team League match, then that I think would kind of reinforce even more the possibility of the queues merging and having, if you queue solo, getting all solo, but then those few slots of 2-2s or a 4 getting filled with 1s. So it'll be interesting.
I will say, with the fact that you can now solo queue for Team League, I am personally a little bit less incentivized to actually do Hero League, because when I'm sitting here thinking about this, I don't take ranked very seriously to begin with. It's probably not a huge surprise to a lot of people. I generally enjoy playing the game with friends or listeners or whoever's on in the channel, that sort of thing. A lot of quick match, that sort of thing. I mean, I do like the draft system, and I do like actually getting in there and having teams that take it a little bit more seriously and have some real comps. So, I mean, there's always been that place for ranked for me. But as far as like truly pushing ranked, it's just not something I've ever really focused on just yet. But to your point, though, about being able to queue as a solo person in Team League now, in my mind, like, I may as well do that, because I don't necessarily care about pushing the rating anyway, but I would care about having a decent enough rating to match up with you guys. Like, say, if I ever have a weekend day where I'm hopping on and you and Gizmo and a couple other people are on and want to play, I would hate for my Team League MMR to be so much lower than you guys that we throw off the matchmaker and it's just getting crazy, right? So I guess now under this new system, in my mind, I may as well just solo queue Team League, because, I mean, best case scenario, I'm making it match my skill rating a little bit better and allow me to team up with you guys pretty well. So
sure, and technically, of course, it may not work like this in practice, but technically, I would expect when I'm solo queuing into Team League that the games would be at least slightly more organized than the Hero League games would be, because you will have at least 2 sets of 2, or a set of 4, if it does in fact prefer to put the single players with either 4 or 2 sets of 2.
Right.
And that could lead to a much more, again, in theory, cohesive game, especially if you end up jumping on the voice chat, because there's always that option now too. And I feel like that would probably be something that would be more common in a Team League setting versus a Hero League setting.
Probably, even a 2 and then 3 1s is still pretty good. Like, if those 2 are a couple friends that are on comms and genuinely have like a lane worked out, like some sort of laning duo, it can be really good. That can totally throw the game either way. So
yeah. We'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, I'm gonna try and play a bunch of Team League this season, and we'll report back and see how it's going. I'm 3-1 so far.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. See where I end up this season. I played 30-some games of Team League last season. I was wanting to do a lot more, but unfortunately, the August got super busy. But usually this part of the year is when things die down a little bit, work-wise. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll have some more time. Next up, the new event, Fall of King's Crest, is out. And it is interesting. It's very, I like it from a concept standpoint. It's very cool. You jump into game, you get a little bit of dialogue, you get to pick one of 4 different sets of quests, and each of the 4 sets has 4 subquests in it, and you have to complete the first of each of those to unlock the second, and then to unlock the third and fourth as you go. And it's all stuff that, for the most part, is not super behavior altering. It's like, get 60,000 ability damage in winning games, or, capture 6 merc camps, or take some watchtowers, stuff like don't die less than 4 times, or something,
right.
Stuff like that. So, and when you're doing these, you have to, especially for a MOBA, you have to be really, really careful that whatever your quest is does not seriously alter normal game behavior to just try and get a quest done.
Yeah, and I think they've succeeded at that here.
I think it's pretty good.
It's altering your behavior, but what it's doing too is that it's really just mainly changing up who you would choose more than anything, right? So like the first white main quest is the one where you have to heal 100k in a winning game. All that's doing is just ensuring that you either pick supports in your ranked or just queue as it in quick match, right? So like, and then past that, you're just trying to go for heals, which okay, I did notice because that's the one I started with, and I did it after some of these fixes went into it, so that's good. Um, and I was finding myself trying to crush it out within one game or so. I did lose the game that I was doing this in, but regardless, I was finding myself taking all the healing talents and not some of the utility stuff. So I guess in some ways it did change my approach. I was also maybe burning a little bit too much mana in the laning phases to make sure that I was
See, yeah, that's
pumping as much healing in as I could. So okay, there's negative things. The more I
yeah.
talk about it,
No,
the
yeah.
more
There's definitely potential for some of those quests to cause less than ideal behavior. And so I think that's something that they're going to have to be very cautious with. And I know this is kind of an experiment. And L Train in our Discord, we were having a really good discussion in our Discord where he's talking about he thinks this might be a prelude to season passes, kind of like Fortnite, where you pay $10 or something. And if you go by rank seasons, there would be 4 seasons, right, a year. And each of those seasons would have different achievements or quests that you would do to unlock stuff. And then if you did a bunch of them, you could unlock something big at the end. It's an interesting concept. And I think it's actually an interesting concept that could potentially work for Heroes. Especially if, like, with the season pass, you got a stim pack or something too to go with that. I
rolls
think
in the annual stim pack with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that could be a very viable business strategy. It could add some cool value add stuff for players, some goals to unlock, potentially provide a steady revenue stream for them, and potentially even increase engagement, because that's technically what battle passes are there for.
That's all
you've got all these basically carrots that are out there, and you got to achieve them. Now, again, the problem is with games like MOBAs, you have to be super, super careful with what those quests and what those achievements are. And if you want them to differ from season to season and stuff like that, I think it would just be a very fine line to walk to not significantly alter player behavior during the games they've played just so they're accomplishing something.
The key on this one, though, for me, is that a lot of them cite that it has to be in winning games. So if you're just burning all of your mana to try to heal bars like I kind of was and lose because of it, I'm not saying that's why I lost that game, but I'm all like, that game just didn't count for me at all. So I think they've done some steps to balance it in this iteration. And yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be a tough thing to balance moving forward. But whether or not this leads to something like season passes or anything like that, I think this is definitely a new take and a new approach to quests in the game that we've not really seen before. And honestly, what it's done for me is that, I look at the quests ahead of time. I actually took quite some time to decide like which one I wanted to pick first and that sort of thing. And then as I was scrolling through them, I was like, wow, to finish all this stuff up, I really need to play a lot of Heroes.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's a ton of quests, because there is 16 total quests that you have to get done. Most of them, some of them can be done in a game if you're lucky. Several of them will probably take more than one game to do. Mm-hmm. And it's only for winning games.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this always has the thing where, okay, yes, you can just go in and play AI and get some of these things done. But that's what I'm really hoping, is that I'm able to play enough in just the regular either quick match or ranked to where I don't have to be cramming that in at the end of this deal. But yeah, no. My point is here, though, to the point about the season passes, is that this system incentivizes me to play a lot more, and something like that season pass idea would too, like nonstop. I mean, if it was always up and active,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
So
it's
there's something here.
yeah, it's a very interesting concept, and I'm definitely not opposed to the idea of something as long as they make it worth my while
Right.
to buy the season pass and they have cool content. I will say I do have a few slight issues with implementation. It is nice because you can switch out your quests at any time. So that's nice. You can
That is good.
jump back
You
in
don't
and
get
switch.
stuck with something.
It is a little weird. They need to have like an accept button because you click the quest and then all there is
Oh,
is a
yeah.
back and the X. And I was
Yeah, I
just
actually
like,
didn't know I had done it right. Like I
yeah.
clicked the quest, and I'm sitting there going, okay, and then yeah, I eventually just backed out and clicked the X, and it was there.
Yeah,
So
that seemed to,
it
but
weirded
I
out.
just need a button that says like choose quest or something
Right.
like that. It just,
Mhm.
X is not what I think of as a choose button.
Even though you've already selected the
Yeah,
quest.
it's-
Yeah, that weirded me out too.
Yeah, it was just a
that
little
took me
weird.
a few seconds.
But yeah, UI issues aside, again, it seems like this patch is just full of either tests, potentially precursors, just like, testing the waters to see how things go. But I'm really, really interested. Like, and this makes me that much more curious for BlizzCon. I feel like more and more as we're seeing this stuff, BlizzCon could be pretty big for Heroes
Yeah,
from a system perspective.
seems possible. They've got to do some of the things with ranked. I know it's just one of the community's general complaints across the board, and I mean this is them taking some initial steps, and we see this kind of pattern form too, where like because we've been following the patch notes of this game for pretty much as long as it's been out, and there's a lot of instances, guys, where, and if you go back in the history of the show, you'd pick up on it, where they will make some initial small changes. They'll even say in the notes sometimes like, hey, we're doing this little tweak on Diablo's cooldowns, but it's to prep him for a huge major overhaul. And this could be them doing that with the ranked system.
Yeah. No, I think it totally could be. So we'll keep watching this space, and of course BlizzCon is only like 5 weeks away now.
Which is scary.
It is. Like it is coming up fast. I'm super excited though. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, me too.
So also, of course, with this patch, the Garden of Terror rework went live, and the Kerrigan and Brightwing reworks also went live. I don't know how much time you've gotten to spend at all on the live version of this.
Nah, not much since
Not much.
live. I should have done Brightwing for my healing quest, because then I would just be getting it passively for the most part, except for, some of those talents that buff your soothing mist and that kind of thing. But yeah, I she's the top of my list though. If we get a game in tonight or anytime soon here, gotta try her out, because I'm a Brightwing fan.
Yeah,
Just need
and
to-
she is actually a ton of fun. I played several games with her last night, and it just solidified how much I like the rework. It just feels much more interactive. I feel like I can do more. And again, we'll probably do a hero rework of the week in the coming weeks on both Kerrigan and Brightwing, because both of them
and Tyrande.
and
eventually.
Tyrande, because all of them got changed quite a bit. We're actually racking up quite the list of big enough reworks to actually re-go over again.
It's a good thing though.
It
I
is.
mean,
It is a good
you
thing,
know,
especially with
the
the
slower
hero
yeah.
releases. Yep.
we're on the
Yeah,
same
we're on the
page
same
there.
track. Yeah.
Yep.
So for sure. Kerrigan, I got to play a little bit. She's strong. Very
Like,
strong.
Too strong?
Like probably too strong.
Is she strong or strunk with the K at the end?
She might be leaning into K territory.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
all right.
she's pretty good right now. It'll be interesting to see what the win rate settles at next week or so, once a lot of the games have been in. I saw several bans for her
Oh yeah.
already, and we ended up grabbing her in a few of the team league games, and it was pretty crazy. I do love she has a new talent, like a chrysalis cocoon type thing. It's
Right,
not a
right.
stasis. You just go into the cocoon, and it's got a health bar, and it's there for a certain amount of time. You can't cancel it, and while you're in there, you heal up quite a bit faster, and the enemy has to break it to get you out. And it was really funny seeing one of the guys I was with using that and just blocking or kind of avoiding big stuff, which
Oh
is
yeah.
super, super funny.
But you can't break it yourself.
No, it's from what he was saying, you have to wait it out.
That is kind of crazy because you could wait it out to your death. Like the enemy team could just form around you and then
Potentially.
time their stuns, and yeah, that could be.
Yeah, so
that's
it's
a really interesting talent. No, I remember seeing that in the notes. So okay, but generally speaking, what's making her so strong? Is it just that this new blend of new talents is causing her to have a major damage output, or is it like?
Oh yes,
Okay.
lots of damage. Lots of damage. She's pretty mobile now, especially with the double ravage and the built-in
Yeah.
reset and mana on the kills. She's very good at clearing enemy waves.
Doesn't
she's
have
got
mana
a lot
issues as much, and
not near as much. She's got a lot of cool too. I love the rework, by the way. It just might be slightly overtuned. We don't know yet. That was just one night of impressions, but
sure.
I love both reworks. They did a great job of making her a lot more interactive, which I like.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them for
What's that?
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Garden of Terror is again an interesting thing. I like it. I like the rework. I think it's decent. I don't think it's bad by any means. I still think it might be too snowbally. All the maps that I've played of it have been pretty one-sided one way or another. Again, very circumstantial, as I haven't gotten a ton of games in on it yet, but I'd love to hear feedback from you guys as to what your experiences are with the new Garden of Terror, and if it does feel snowbally to you. I think, again, I don't think it's a mechanic thing. I think it's a numbers thing that could be tweaked, or potentially just the fact that all three terrors can disable structures. I mean, that's just a huge difference between that and Tomb, or that and Curse, that has one or the other, but not both at the same time, plus on one of the largest maps in the game.
It's also kind of hard to get a sense this early on, especially with a smaller sample size, because, I mean, some of those games that you perceived as snowballs could have just been one of the teams doing really well. I mean, any map can snowball if one of the teams is up 3 levels and just kicking A the whole time, So, yeah, but it's true. It's somewhere in there, like, and that was what I was thinking as you were discussing it right then, of like, if those terrors are too much of a terror, to be frank, then you could maybe enter a space where, all right, they're disabling the structures, allowing for these just crazy pushes and just being snowbally there. So, yeah, I think we'll just need to play around with it some more. I definitely need to mess around with it some more myself, but yeah, I'm still hesitantly excited about it. I was not a giant fan of some aspects of the previous version of it, and this seems like an improvement to me. So
yeah, I think it is overall.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff too. With the if it becomes snowbally, they could also just tweak some numbers too and change it up to where it's not as much. Hopefully, anyway.
Yep. But yeah, all that stuff's live as of yesterday. So go check it out. Let us know your thoughts. It's a good patch. It's a good patch. I would be very surprised if we get another hero before BlizzCon.
Just based on the timing, I think we're still getting at least one.
We are in a very. We got 5 weeks, so there might be time for one more.
They could tease it next week. It could
They pretty
drop
much
in PTR the following, live October 16th, and then we've got a couple weeks till BlizzCon. So I think there's room.
yeah.
I think
There
there's
there
room.
might be one more.
Hmm.
There might be one more.
It'll be someone that's not truly connected to lore or anything in particular, and frankly, it'll be one I think that is just exciting. I mean, I used the example of Zul Jin in the past of one that was just kind of filler between big content cycles. Um, he's a good hero by all means, and people love the troll, and people want Axe, but you know what I mean. Like, I
Hopefully
would
it's a
see it.
tank.
That could be cool. Like just a good standalone tank that
Yeah.
just and then that would enable them to maybe even not do a tank for BlizzCon, and I don't know. Obviously, the exciting ones are going to be at BlizzCon.
Yeah,
question.
when they announced Orphea.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which, by the way,
I'm still
we should get into that.
yeah, I'm still plugging it. I was saying it as soon as the first comic was released. So we'll see. We'll
And
see
now
if I
after
can-
this latest comic,
Yeah.
you really think it.
I really do think it. And so speaking of that, comic number 3 was released this week. So without further ado, let's jump into Lords of the Storm. All right, Multi. So,
Yes.
comic number 3.
is out.
We got some more lore. So let's why don't you take it away, talk over it a little bit first, and then we'll discuss it and then the greater lore in general just a little bit, because both
Yeah,
of us
right.
have some thoughts.
Some similar thoughts, for sure. We talked a little bit before the show, and but yeah, we'll get to all that. But no, I think the important thing is to first cover the new content, see what's going on in there. So if you haven't read it yet, I would recommend that you skip forward a little bit here, a few minutes anyway, as I go through just some of the highlights here. I am definitely of the camp where I would personally hate to hear this kind of thing and then go back and read it and say, oh yeah, that's the panel Multi was talking about. So maybe you're not as upset about that kind of thing as I would be, but just something to think about. So okay, moving on though. Comic opens up pretty straightforward. It's definitely bridging the time between the Alterac Pass event and this Fall of King's Crest event. They even open up with kind of a like prologue, if you will, tying it all together where the Alterac Pass fight took place and the Horde was actually backing the Raven Lord's army, even though they didn't know it. And I think TBK, this is proof that the Horde won that fight, which isn't a surprise to anyone, obviously.
Yep, it's true.
But yeah. And Gizmo's not here to throw anything back at us. So
It's true.
take that. But yeah, okay. So one really cool thing I liked about the initial panels, though, is that they are tying in all of the Raven Lord's armies that we've had so far. So in some of this artwork, we actually get of course, the new skins with the Fall of King's Crest content, like the Alexstrasza, the White Mane, etc. But it's blended in with, I mean, you can see even early on and fighting in some of these panels, the Alarak, the Gul'dan from the Dark Nexus theme. So that was kind of cool. And then, so it gets into King's Crest itself. You get to know the Lady of Thorns a little bit better, at least in the sense that she's trying to rally her realm against this oncoming slaughter that's heading your way. But the cool part in this is just the slaughter. Honestly, it's the crazy. You see the Zarya skin just blasting a hole through Uther and all this. So there's some fun panels in there.
What's
But-
really interesting to me
Uh-huh.
is one of these panels, you see there's a new General Alexstrasza skin, and it's got, and again, plugging these skins, there's new bundles up. I don't usually these days, but I did grab the bundle because
Oh, nice.
there's
Which
a lot
one?
of cool, the big one,
Oh, really?
because there's
Okay,
a
yeah.
lot of cool stuff in it, and I just had to have the bundle. But the Alexstrasza skin is like a legendary skin. The dragon form is this awesome translucent thing, and it's really interesting that in the fight panel, the Alexstrasza General King's Crest dragon form is fighting the normal
Oh, yeah.
Alexstrasza.
I actually did not catch that. Yeah, that's in a panel about
Page
third of the way
6,
down.
yeah.
Page 6. And yeah, no,
Yeah.
so that's kind of something we've talked about previously in the general lore concept of,
All
you
these
know,
skins are
do
separate.
all the skins are separate beings.
Yeah,
Like
all the
Jaina
skins are
is
separate
different from
beings.
Dreadlord Jaina and that sort of thing. So yeah, that is the evil Alexstrasza beating the regular one. So that's a really good catch. I saw her up there, but I guess I didn't see the crumpled regular Alexstrasza underneath her as I
Yeah.
was going through
So I
because I was
think
too focused on Uther getting a hole in his
it's
chest.
true. I mean, that is kind of the focal point of the scene. But I just thought it was kind of interesting that I think that proves that they're going with each of these skins is not the hero. It's an actual separate version of the hero
I think that
and they
checks out
exist
though.
all at the same time.
Because yeah, I mean, like the Dark Nexus, Alarak, and Gul'dan were always I always consider them to be separate from the regular ones, even though the regular ones are kind of evil too. But you know, I guess these are more evil. But yeah, so no, that's a really good catch. So moving on though into the rest of it here, so we get to know at least briefly the children of Lady of Thorns a bit. We've got I believe it's Varric, and then the daughter. Do we get the daughter's name here? Or am I missing it? I'm not sure.
Uh, it's she's like the moon girl.
Yes, the Moon Girl.
Moon
So
girl.
anyway, it gets into it a little bit there. They're trying to summon their dad, the DK, the Dragon Knight, and actually, I kind of liked how this played out. The Alarak skin, the Dark Nexus Alarak, um, interrupts their channel. So that was a very hero's moment for him to dash in there and just stop the channeling of the Dragon Knight. So, but yeah, okay, goes down. Dragon Knight comes up. Everything looks like it's going to be cool until the Raven Lord himself, also known as Nathanos Blightcaller, came down and kind of mind controlled the dragon. And then we get into the final scenes in which, okay, for one, I loved the Dragon Knight punting the kid, which again is just
Yeah,
such
that's
a
such a hero's thing.
such a hero's thing. And then, but it ends up in a fight basically in that same cathedral we've been seeing for some time, and a lot of the artwork and that kind of thing, you know, with the stained glass in the background. So there's some definite tie-in there. And yeah, it ends with the fight with the Lady of Thorns and her mind-controlled husband dragon thing. And yeah, I mean, okay. Here's where you get into some of the spoilers. Maybe it appears as though the kids may be dead. The Dragon Knight does kind of stomp them a little on the hard side, and they look
Just
dead-ish.
a little on the hard side. They're on the floor, sprawled out,
They
dead-ish.
seem dead-esque at least, but it's not confirmed for sure. But then yeah, so the panels here, and I didn't really notice it in my first read through. We then had Naraki in our Discord made a really funny point about it, which I definitely will recite for you guys here in a second. But I hadn't picked up on the fact of how bloody some of these get. So there's one where like the Dragon Knight is grabbing onto the Lady of Thorns so hard that he's like piercing her side and blood is spurting out everywhere and all this stuff. So it gets pretty dark there for a second. And yeah, so the interesting thing, I won't talk through every one of these panels, of course, but I do want to point out a couple things that were kind of small things to look at. For one, at the end of that fight, Deckard Cain is trying to ferry the rest of the people of King's Crest to safety. He opens one of those portals. They're in the hexagon fashion, so kind of the nexagon portals that we've seen elsewhere. And it's kind of interesting. I do wonder if that portal tells us anything. It probably not. It's just kind of a like light orange, kind of yellowy background. But could he be leading them into another realm that we're then going to get down the road? It's not impossible. You got to look at these things and start to think if something like that is happening here. And then past that, so the other interesting twist at the end on this, if you can call it that, is so the Raven Lord gets a hold of the Singularity Stone for King's Crest, essentially. And he corrupts it in such a way, I think maybe even using her blood. I don't know if that's blood or like his magic that he's using on it. Regardless,
It's
he gains
weird
control.
red corruption-y.
Red stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she tries to touch it. That is to say, the Lady of Thorns, and actually starts to turn to stone in doing so. She says, "I can't even touch it." There's a panel where she's fully turned into stone, and and yeah, so that sums up the fall of King's Crest. Essentially, he has fully assaulted the zone. The people have left. Her people have fled to some other
We
realm.
went from 0 to 100 pretty dang quick.
Pretty dang quick. And then we get to the very end, the part that I know you're the most excited for, TBK. The Orphea saying that, I should have done something. Someone must fight the darkness, or the dawn will never come. And so,
I'm
yeah,
Batman.
exactly. No, so that, I mean, to me, like, we're definitely gonna get an Orphea themed lore content piece out of BlizzCon. Probably a cinematic. That would make the most sense. Um, because yeah, I mean, we've been building up to this far this year. But that kind of leads us into our larger discussion about lore in general and the buildup that we've had to this.
Okay,
So,
quote unquote build up.
yeah.
Use that term
actually,
very loosely.
we do. First thing, I've got to point out Naraki's joke though, because this just has to be on the show. He would understand. He would want us to say this. Let's see, where was it here? I'll pull it up. I should have had this up before I started talking about saying it. Okay, cool. Still working on it. Yeah, I'll find it eventually. Just don't even worry about it. TBK, as I dig around in our Discord for content. So we kind of hinted at that. The concern of that this is apparently the piece that we've been building up to, definitely over the last two comics, but also through some of the other pieces that we've had throughout the year. And I mean, we're nearing the end of the year too. This was always billed at the first of the, I don't know if it was exactly the first of the year, but early on in the year, April-ish. Yeah, that's right.
April-ish.
Was when they started talking about how, I mean, yes, we are going to start telling a story that unfolds over the course of the year. So this is a major unfolding of the story, and yet I do find myself, and I know from talking to you ahead of the show that you feel the same way, just a little emotionally detached from this. And can you possibly tell me why you might be feeling so?
Well, and when you say a little emotionally detached, I would say completely emotionally detached.
Only mostly.
So
I mean, you love Orphea, dude.
Okay. I really like the character concept, and I've only seen 2 comics with her. Here's my big issue though. So in April, they this was Kevin Michael Johnson and Alan DeBerry talking about lore, and they kind of build the Year of Heroes lore. My biggest issue with that so far is we've gotten 2 events. We got the Dark Nexus event, which was 2 skins and a background change. And then we got the Fall of King's Crest, which admittedly is a much more involved event. It's got some quests. It's got a little bit more stuff to it. It's got
Alterac Pass was an event, and it did tie in with the lore. So
kind of.
I know that one's odd because it is lore driven. Like there's even the short cinematic of the Raven Lord flying in and checking it out ahead of time. But it's such a wow piece of content that it just didn't feel like part of the story.
Exactly. It didn't really. I don't think they did a super good job of tying it in, as far as the stuff goes. I think the biggest problem was I expected a lot more in-game stuff, and I expected a lot more out-of-game stuff. If you look at it, here we are, almost October. We've gotten 3 comics. The comics have been essentially 12 pages each. That is like half the length of a normal comic in general. So we're already, we've only gotten the equivalent of basically 1 to 1.5 actual legitimate comics that you would go buy, like an X-Men or a Spider-Man or whatever.
Well, more than that, it could be argued that we're lacking a little bit of content even within the comics. I mean, they're on the shorter side page-wise, but even this one that we just went over, I mean, and again, I truly do think that some of the coolest and best looking panels are the ones where there's just combat going on, or like, the Raven Lord in the distance saying "slaughter in my name" and all these things. But like, there's just not a lot of story being told in them. I mean,
No.
you have to dive into like the point that you did about the new Alexstrasza fighting the old one, and like do those sorts of things to kind of like imagine a lot of the stuff on the side that we're not really getting out of these stories themselves, So
Yeah,
I think that's a problem with these short form comics in the first place, and it's a problem I've had with any of them that have come out for the Blizzard IPs, including and especially Overwatch in some cases. But yeah, I don't know.
I think like for the year of lore, I feel like all they've done is kind of whet my appetite. That's it. I don't feel like this has been the year of lore. I feel like this has been the year of lore teasers. If that makes sense. Like I feel like we really needed like double the amount of comics by the time we got to this point.
Double the comics, also just a little world building. I mean,
Yeah.
I love anytime you lay out a map of a fantasy world. Don't care what it is. I literally, actually, my wife and I have. I don't know if you've been to our house recently, but yeah, you would have seen it the last one where we've got like a giant map of the Avatar,
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
Last Airbender,
Yeah.
and then we've got like Middle Earth in another corner, and we've got the Game of Thrones, Westeros and the not Eastern Kingdoms, whatever they call that other
Yeah.
continent.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
I've got a giant
Um,
map of the Wheel of Time
Yeah, exactly.
series sitting above my computer.
So
now.
that kind of stuff, if they could just find a way to lay that out, even if it's goofy, even if it's literally just that the Ravencourt borders King's Crest, which borders the Alterac passes between those, and then off to the side it's Neo Stormwind and stuff. Like even if they just laid it out for me, that would start to get my head in the space of, all right, so here's where these places are, here's these different warring factions, et cetera, et cetera. Now I'm starting to at least get in the groove of what the Nexus is. And yeah, because like one of the things they mentioned was that, and again, when they build this whole thing, they said that, I mean, the Nexus, we consider it to be a real place, and we want to take you guys there and explore it some. And I just don't feel like any of these media have done that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, not only that, and that
At least not
I
as well as they could have.
love the artwork for all the comics. They've done an amazing job on the artwork for all the comics. I would like to see something like, heck, even what I did for our little things. I did a little lore piece for Mecha Ragnaros skin that we did a while ago. I did a little lore piece that I wrote up when I released my Stormwind Assault battleground concept. I would love for them to do some long form stuff where it's just like maybe several written pieces that have some concept art type
Right.
stuff in them as I'm reading through, like little mini novels, like they released with when Battle for Azeroth came out. They
Those
released
were
those,
awesome.
yeah, those free little mini novels. Even if they're not that long, I would love to see some stuff like that to fill in the spaces, even if like, comics take production work. They're probably more expensive resource wise to do a comic than it would be to write out a long form with some art.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there because yeah, those BFA short stories were really cool. I have never thought Malfurion was cool, even though he's one of my main heroes that I play in Heroes of the Storm. Like historically, he's probably still my favorite sport. I've never thought he was that cool, like as a character, until I read that short story. And when they depicted him like in you know, the woods and the way that he had like mastery over the vines and stuff, it was just a cool image. And like the fear that he was inflicting on the horde that was attacking Darkshore at the time was just awesome. So yeah, you could capture and honestly get a little bit more under the skin of these characters and get us knowing, like if we had even just a flavor piece of the Lady of Thorns kind of prepping for this onslaught, talking with her kids, we'd get to know them a little bit better, we'd get to know her a little bit better, see what their perspective is like. Like I want to know a little bit more about a being that's super, almost godlike powerful in their realm and has been for thousands of years, that's getting overthrown here. Like
Yeah, and those
this is an event that it took potentially thousands of years to build up to.
yeah, and
like,
those
from a
long
lore
form things
perspective.
are great for battles that are very expensive from an art standpoint.
Yeah, that too.
That
So,
you can be very descriptive, and like I said, if they had done these 3 comics and then 2 or 3 like long form lore pieces with some art, maybe thrown out a world map or something like that, and then had a few in-game events, that to me would have equated to the year of starting your heroes lore.
right. And they still could go all of those routes. I think my main worry is that they're going to take this and say, I'm also worried that they're going to, someone over there is going to listen to this and say, oh, well, I mean, the lore didn't really hit that well with our community, so 2019 we'll just kind of go back to the regular game and go back to releasing stuff. Like, I would not like that either. I do want to say that although I'm not fully satisfied with what they've got now, I think changes like that and some other tweaks could still really get us something cool, and I would love to see that. So
Yeah.
I hope that's the sentiment going around the community. I'm not always sure it is, but you know how it is. There's always, I mean, Reddit is just made of people that are complaining about every little thing. So don't listen to them. Listen to the folks who really think something like this could be cool.
Agreed.
Make it cool.
I like that they're doing story. I just want.
Me too.
I want more. I want more. So yeah, let us know what your thoughts on lore stuff, and potentially if you have any ideas to help out. What would you like to see from a lore standpoint? So next up, we're going to dive into HGC a little bit. So big stuff coming up. A few big things have happened actually. But first off, the final phase of HGC Cheer Global Progress Rewards are here, and with it, the Purple Elemental Lion. And this is the one where if we hit the global milestone and you've cheered at least 100 bits, you will get this mount in game. Once,
and it is cool.
Milestone. Yeah, it's a purple lion with spikes.
I feel like, I mean, this is in the same vein as the other elemental mounts, and even the crab. Like, I don't know what it is about the elemental thing that always brings them back to wanting to go that route, but at the same time, as long as it's a cool new animal, I'm on board. And the crab's a cool new animal, the lion's a cool new animal, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just extra mounts.
I think that the next
Why
one
not?
should be an alpaca. I'm just throwing that one out there, but
Maybe
it's just me being
one
selfish.
day. Maybe one day.
It's the dream.
That's the dream.
Mm.
Two other big things on the Heroes competitive scene front, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this real fast too, and just kind of talk about something on air that I've been talking about on Twitter a little bit. First off, both Quacknix of Roll20 and JPL of Team Dignitas have announced that they will be retiring come the end of the season. And so this is like the third or fourth big HOTS retirement announcement from pros. And I've seen, some people who are kind of worried. It's just like, oh no, the pros are quitting and such and such and whatnot. But I want to just kind of throw a counter opinion out there on kind of the whole status of things. So Heroes as a whole has been an esport now for several years. We're starting to hit the point where seeing turnover, especially turnover of people who have been in the game for a while now, is not going to be unheard of. In fact, I would almost say this is expected. There's only so long that you can play a single game competitively, sometimes 8+ hours a day,
right,
5 to 7 days a week, and not get burnout or not potentially just want to try something new. And so in a lot of ways, this is the kind of year I was expecting to start seeing some big names go. And I don't think that's a problem. In fact, I think that's a very good thing. I think that's a very healthy thing, because if you keep the same group of pros around for a long time, you have skill stagnation. And what retirement of some of these pros does, and what the Crucible hopefully kind of brings about, is
Anyway.
yeah, basically new blood into the system, new players who haven't been grinding this thing for 3 or 4 years, who are very highly motivated and highly willing to put in the time and effort to be the best. And so with a lot of that can come that extra push to raise that skills ceiling again, to stop the stagnation. So in a lot of ways, I think this is a really good thing. And I'm actually really excited, especially for next year, as we start to see some of this churn, to see new blood in the HGC, and hopefully some of these pros going off at a high point. I know JPL in his little retirement post has said they are grinding harder than ever because he wants to go out with a BlizzCon win. And if if there's any team that has a legitimate chance, it's definitely Dignitas. So
yeah, for sure. So no, I'm with you on that. I mean, I of course don't like to see some of these players go, because I just like watching these players play. I mean, JPL's awesome. But at the same time, you know, you got to think of it in kind of along the lines you were talking about. Anyone who leaves the league, who, whether it's either by the Crucible or just by retirement, that sort of thing, they are opening the doors to other players to come in that could be the absolute just blow your mind superstars of tomorrow. Like, whoever ends up taking that slot could literally just be the guy we're talking about forever. You know what I mean? Like, so this, you got to kind of steer away from the doom saying and all that typically. And think of it that way. You know, I mean, just getting into some new blood and changing things up in the scene can be just exciting. So and again, like, these players are making these decisions to, I mean, hopefully just better their lives. You know, maybe they got a new opportunity elsewhere, or are just trying to go down a new path, maybe go back to school or something. I don't know either of these players' specific situations offhand, but, you know, I mean, I would encourage anyone to do what you want to with your life, you know? So
yeah, you gotta do what's best for you. And if you're mentally not with something, you probably shouldn't stay with it.
I think it's tough for some people, because there's a lot of people that play games, especially the Heroes folks, or any game where you take it kind of seriously, where you really look up to these folks and you say, oh man, that's just got to be the dream job of just, I mean, you're yes, it's a lot of work to play that much and to scrim that hard that long all the time and be under that kind of pressure. But man, I mean, you're a pro gamer. Like, what gets better than that? But yeah, I mean, to be in those shoes, which I have never, will never, but it's got to be. I mean, it's a lot of it's work for sure.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
so
definitely is. So good luck to them with their future plans, and it'll, like I said, it'll be really interesting to see how the 2019 season shakes up. And speaking of the lead up to the 2019 season, the HGC playoffs are this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there's a lot riding on this. There's really not. More so for them than for us. But we have little things riding on this. And I need to go back to the episode and listen so I can, like, actually write down all the things we said, because it was really just kind of a
it was unplanned.
Deluge of ideas and words.
We were never going to do that, and then just in the middle of the episode, we're like, oh, let's place bets on these. I do know that mine, though, is if Tempo Storm gets in, which they've got a likely shot, at least in the sense that they're the final round on Sunday, and thus don't have to fight their way through the step ladder as much, then you have to either carry a sign or wear a shirt with Brightwing on it that says "You're a thing."
Yep, and I will do so.
No
proudly.
other explanation.
I will do so proudly. So starting us off, Friday, September 28th, 4 o'clock Central Time, and this would be 2 o'clock Pacific Time. Endemic and LFM Esports will battle it out. The winner of that series will then go on to face Team Freedom on Friday. The winner of that series, and Team Freedom is Gizmo's pick.
Right.
And then the winner of that series will go on to face Team Octalysis on Saturday, starting again at 4 Central, 2 Pacific, and Octalysis being my pick. And then the winner of that series will then go on to play Tempo Storm on Sunday at 4 Central, 2 Pacific.
I'm just saying I'm mathematically the most likely to win out of any of us. But that said, I mean, the fun with this stepladder system where each match then spawns another one where you have to, clear that team to move on even further is when there's an upset. So TBK, here in NA, do you foresee an upset in any of these brackets?
I mean, obviously going with the bias, I think the LFM Endemic is going to be one of the most interesting, because I think technically either team could take it, although
take it all the way, or just
no,
take
just
that one?
take that one.
Gotcha.
But like just historically looking at the record, you would expect Endemic to take that. You would expect Freedom to take the Endemic match. You would expect Octalysis to take the Freedom match, and then you have the interesting Octalysis Tempo Storm.
Bit more of a toss up there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Octalysis will probably win that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. But it'll be really interesting. And I'm hopefully going to be able to, I'm going to try and watch at least some of those live if at all possible. Because it will be a pretty big weekend.
It's late Friday.
It is.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. On the EU side of things, it's a little bit different because 2 of the BlizzCon slots have already been decided, so their playoffs are for that 3rd spot that they earned in the Western Clash. At 1 Central, 11 a.m. Pacific, Method will be playing Granite Gaming. The winner of that will play Leftovers on Saturday at the same time, and then the winner of that will play Fnatic on Sunday at the same time for the 3rd spot on the EU side.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that like they get 3 slots, which is obviously preferable. But like, I don't know, for some reason for me to have fewer matches leading up to it in the playoffs is kind of more stressful. I mean, I know it's not, because obviously you'd want to play fewer games on your climb up the ladder there, but I don't know. You only have these few chances to prove yourselves, and that's it. That's deciding who's going to BlizzCon. Like that's not got to be easy on these players,
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be tough. But then, and we'll go into the specifics next week once we know. But remember, then next weekend, the Crucible is happening with the bottom 2 EU and NA teams. And as far as I know, the Crucible teams have not picked their opponents yet, but we should know all the details of that by next Wednesday, and we'll definitely talk about that a little bit as well. Okay, so HGC stuff, check it out this weekend. It's going to be big time because this is BlizzCon stuff that they're prepping for. So that'll be really good. Okay, so on to community content. I've got a lot this week. There's some really good stuff. First off, I wanted to shout out that Heroes Lounge, the amateur tournament scene that has been mainly on the EU side, will be coming to NA this next season. They say over the last 2.5 years, Heroes Lounge has grown to the largest Heroes of the Storm amateur league worldwide. They've created a lot of ways for players to get games organized, but now they are inviting North American players to join. You can sign up for participation on their website. You can find the league standings, the results, and everything. Signups will close the 28th of October 2018, and the NA season will start synchronous with Season 8 of EU. So if you're interested in the amateur scene of Heroes, this is actually a really, really big deal because Heroes Lounge is a big thing over on the EU side. And so having them come over to the NA side is really, really cool.
Yeah, I was really psyched for that. Just to have something that's already established, but then coming over, it's got to be much easier than building something fresh and new in NA. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Secondly, and this is posted by I'm Special on Reddit. It's a topic called reinstall HOTS for better performance, faster boot times, loading, and helps with stuttering issues. And so this is actually a really interesting thing because over time the Heroes client itself bloats. Technically, a new install is only like 20 some gig, or even smaller than that. After looking at this, I went and checked my install, and it was up to like mid to high 30s.
I was gonna check mine now. Where do I look?
Oh dang,
it's on my computer.
Yeah. So we'll have the link to this Reddit thread, but essentially what it's talking about doing is doing a fresh install of the game to get you back down to that initial size. A lot of the big reason on why it bloats is because one of the ways they do replay viewing is it downloads older version data of the game, which can bloat the game. And so you basically will reset a lot of that. But if you want to go back and watch an older replay still, the replay system will download on the fly what you need to watch that replay as you go into it. And then
as opposed to just storing it all.
As opposed to just storing it all. And so if you don't watch a bunch of old replays, then heck, you don't need a ton of that space being used. And so in a lot of ways, for an ongoing game, this is kind of a good idea to do in general every once in a while because you have client bloat and whatnot. So yeah, maybe give it a try.
I am definitely going to. I wonder if this is going to fix some of my issues because I'm not going to lie. I've had some weird stuttery stuff lately, and I mean, I've definitely not reinstalled since I first brought it on this computer. So yeah, it's maybe looking into that. This is encouraging.
Yeah, no, it's worth a try, right?
Yeah,
worth a try. Next, we have a pair of skins, and these things are stinking awesome. We have a Deathwing Stukov skin, and of course the links to these will be in the show notes for audio listeners, lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com if you want to check them out. But it is a Deathwing Stukov skin, and it is super, super cool. It's got Stukov's got the like metal chin thing going on. His arm is like lava filled and like black crusted rock, and like the shoes have the metal claws and stuff. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah, this is one of the coolest skin concepts I've seen in some time. In particular, so they not only have the just kind of what would be close to an in-game splash of how it looks, but then they do what appears to be like a background that's superimposed over actually one of the art pieces I recognize from the Warcraft Chronicle 3 book in the background there. But yeah, no, it's super cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. And also just as cool is a Blackrock Forge Tychus skin. And this is Tychus basically with these just huge spikes. If you were there in Warlords of Draenor for the Blackrock Foundry raid, it's that type of thing. It's very spiky, very industrial. It's got a concept of him with his minigun, and it's got the why am I blanking on the name of his big robot?
I should know it too.
It's funny the things that you forget when you want to think of it on the spot. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. There's also
the robot.
Yeah, the robot. There's also an alternate concept where it's the same armor and stuff, but he's an orc, kind of like how they did the Orc Johanna skin.
Yeah, exactly. So
with the Altric pass. So very, very cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
Speaking of Tychus, though, I did find that quote from Naraki from the Discord I was talking about earlier. And so he says, in reaction to the comics here, we can have a wife stabbing her husband through the head with a sword and killing him while both their kids lie dead on the floor and blood goes everywhere. But God forbid a cigar on an ex-con maniac.
Yes.
Pretty good. Pretty
Yep,
good. Anyway,
pretty good.
had to shout that
Odin.
out.
Odin, thank you,
Odin,
G-Shock.
there you go.
Thank you. Good old chat. Always has my back. Yeah, check those out. Those things are awesome looking. Very, very cool. And then finally, I wanted to shout out this article by Droplets from LFM Esports. And he has made this giant article called Basics of the Storm, where he goes through tank support, solo laner, main range, and the flex roles, and what exactly you need to be doing with with each of those roles. And it's very comprehensive, very, very good information, and I highly recommend it as a read for pretty much anybody. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's worth it.
It seems like, and I love these things are always, it lists as basics of the Storm. So you would see this maybe as a more seasoned player and say to yourself, oh, I don't need to look at all this. But then, yeah, the details are good. So yeah, it's good for anybody.
Yeah, so definitely check that out. No time to go over all the pieces in that, but again, the link for it will be in the show notes. Okay, so finally, we do have some email stuff. So, Multi, take it away.
Yeah, so first email is the one we had hoped to get to last week, but did not yet. So here we are. It's from Yelly, who writes, "Hello, friends. Will Lords of the Lane be returning? If not, have you considered a full-blown amateur tournament? Something around 4 teams to the community they can put together. Currently, I'm playing in Bush League, which is a similar run tournament put on by a couple of other HOTS podcasts, and it's super fun. We would love it if you guys did something similar. Learning lots." I see what you did there. "Love the show. Stay positive. Don't die." Signed by Yelly. That last point.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid point.
I mean, I think that's the goal.
Yeah,
is
that
to
is the
not
goal.
do that. I wonder if he's reacting to like the fact that I've been coughing for a month, or I don't know what there, but or maybe he knows something I don't, and I'm terrified now. But no, so okay, to address it though, I mean, it's obviously something we've loved doing in the past, Lords of the Lane. That is our, if you haven't tuned in some time or didn't back then, a 2v2 tournament that we would host on occasion. For a while there, we actually had it as a Patreon goal to have it up and running, but we've since adjusted that. And honestly, the short answer for you here is just that we've kind of found that it's our own individual lives are starting to get away with us a little bit here. Like, for instance, I've got my new kid, TBK. You've got 2 now. What's up with that, man?
It's true. Like,
seriously, get your stuff together, man.
I know, right?
But yeah, so it's just stuff like that that's kind of hindered us from doing it. It's one of those things where, like, it's just enough work to where it takes away from some of those other things, and mainly because of the time crunch on the day, I think, in particular. So, I mean, it's not impossible. We've definitely thrown around the concept. Go ahead.
Potentially may have things in the works.
That too.
We potentially may have things in the works. I can't give you any dates, but it is something we have talked about very recently, in fact, and it is something we want to make happen because we've always had a ton of fun with the 2v2s. So it is on our radar, and it's something that we want to make happen sooner rather than later. Hopefully we'll have more that we can talk about on it as things get closer, probably after BlizzCon.
Oh, easily there, yeah.
Because of all the craziness that goes with it. But it is something that's on our radar, and it is something we want to do again because all of those have been super fun for us.
I guess I was more speaking to the large gap that we've had between the last one.
Yes, that is why we've had a large gap between the last one.
But yeah, no, it's to your point, TBK, something we're considering for sure. As long as we don't die, which I feel like I just jinxed us.
It's true.
Oops. Or maybe Yelly jinxed us. I don't know. Either way, Shall I get on the next one?
Yes, and I guess I should also point out, or this won't make a whole lot of sense, that this is the title of this email was thoughts on TBK's suggestion for ranked mode. So
Right,
that adds a little bit of the needed context.
Yes,
I
yes.
think
No, actually, this one has some good reaction to a lot of our stuff we covered previously. So, and this is from Stimmed Sheep Zord, who writes, "Dear Zords, I really like TBK's idea, again, for the ranked system that you just mentioned, as a possible solution to Gizmo's concern about how the rankings are based on whether you are paired with a team member or queuing solo. I believe this is the way that Dota 2 handled the issue. And let's see, before we get on to the rest, could you remind us one more time what your point was there again? I know I was here, but
so this is so as far as I'm aware, and this I guess kind of confirms it for me, Dota 2's ranked mode is just a single queue. You queue solo or you queue as any size up to 5. There are separate leaderboards for teams and for solo. And as far as I'm aware, solo prefers 9 other solo people. And people may, and you correct me if I'm wrong in this. I honestly do not play Dota. I've more just kind of heard from several people that this is how the rank system works. But solo would prefer a bunch of other solo people, but you could also fill in those 2 sets of 2 as the extra to get the 5 or the 4 and 1. And that's what, for the most part, you would prefer on the team side of things. And then the solo side would stay solo, but you have separate leaderboards for it, but just one queue.
Yeah, so good point. And Stim Sheep Zord seems to agree. The next point he makes is, I think that Blizzard is testing the waters with Team League this next season to see about reducing rank to a single button, possibly make that arena style as suggested on the other show. If Blizzard is combining ideas, this could be called lore. I mean, they are pushing lore now, right? So it'd be interesting to see if they wrap that into a comic somewhere.
And I will say on this, when he mentions the other show, Bo Schwartz over on the core side came up with a really interesting concept for an arena style ranked mode. And he wrote up a whole big, huge document about it.
Where it mirrors the WoW arena, and that you've got a rating, and as you climb, if you beat a team that's above you, you get more, and so on and so forth. I'd have to listen to it. I apologize.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's an interesting concept. I haven't gotten to talk with him. It would be interesting to kind of go back and forth with him in general to talk about some of the pros and cons to that system. But again, there's a lot of
talk about it on your panel at Con Before the Storm or the podcast.
There you go.
There's your answer.
Yeah, could definitely do that.
Announced that yet?
Oh yeah, we announced that last week.
Oh yeah, good point. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but we're all gonna be at Con Before the Storm Thursday night before BlizzCon. Mm-hmm. Multi's on the Hearthstone panel. Me and Gizmo are on the Heroes panel. Come see us.
There you go.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Okay, so his last point, as for what makes a main tank, here you go. I believe a main tank needs 3 of these. Either the ability to peel without requiring line of sight or bypass line of sight with just one ability, sizable HP pool, ability to control an area, which would be a different ability than that peel ability mentioned before, and then some form of displacement. So, yeah. If you look at JHow's Warrior Guide, all the quote-unquote main tanks have this. The warriors that do not fall short or can be exploited. Admittedly, you can do comps that do not have these attributes, but it is harder. So yeah, that's. I know we'd had a discussion about the tank meta as well, and what makes a good tank, and I don't disagree with his points there either. So
yeah. Well the only people who disagree are Octaluses, who make anything they want a tank.
Right. Just whoever.
And Zul, why not?
Zul seems good.
He's good.
He's a melee character
that
has he has a slow, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Totally.
Just walk up to the if you want to close the gap, you just walk up to him.
Yeah. Just saunter up.
Yeah.
He does that crazy dance. You could just do that like little snake dance thing he does.
Yeah.
Just walking up to
all
people.
heroes actually have really great gap closers. It's your right click. You just use a right click and move there.
You move there. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you guys so much for writing in. And if you have any other questions or comments on anything we talked about, please send us an email, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. Throw us something on Twitter at Lords of the Storm. You can hit us up individually. And Multi will tell you how to do that right now. Look at that segue.
Oh, yes, he will. So you can find us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon, all under Lords of the Storm and each of those. And shout out to those specifically looking at the Patreon there. Thanks to anyone who's given any amount. No pressure either way. But seriously, guys, I mean, it means a lot to us for sure. And especially with BlizzCon on the horizon here. We got in-game. You can find us certainly by typing /join space LOTS. Or you can join our Discord, bit.ly/lots Discord. And yep, like TBK mentioned, you can email us with feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And the other thing you can really do to help out the show is to leave a review. I'm going to pull up iTunes right now to see if we got any new ones. But and as reviews go, I should say, iTunes is where it's at. It's just kind of like in the industry as podcasters, they just kind of dominate the space there. So if you have access to iTunes in particular, it's a particular help. Yeah, I mean, Stitcher and some of the others are fine. But yeah, if you have iTunes and just want to take a second, you don't even have to write anything. Just drop a number on there. Hopefully a good one, but it's up to you. Then yeah, it'll help out a lot. But anyway, you can find Gizmozord specifically, if you choose to, of course, on Twitter @Gizmozord. He also has his Twitch, twitch.tv/Gizmozord. This new job has kept him from streaming a little bit there too, but I know he's always interested in it. So at least keep your corner of your eye on it. And then he is also on the occasionally Battle.net News, the Convert to Raid Battle.net News podcast there too. So check him out there. I myself am on Twitter @Multizord, and then I'm also on another show called Hearth Casual, which is about Hearthstone, as you mentioned there. And we've got a full episode coming this week. It's going to be an interesting one because we haven't yet had the chance to, at least on the air, react to all of the news that's been coming out in the Hearthstone space lately, such as the canceling of tournament mode. So it's going to be good. I remain optimistic, even now, even a week later. Still got some optimism on that one, but you'll have to check us out on that show to hear that. But yeah.
Yes. Optimism.
TBK, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter @TBKZord, and of course over on Heroes Hearth, where I do interviews, written articles, content, build. I actually just threw a comprehensive Twin Blade Varian build out there.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. A few days ago, so you can go check that one out as well. And I have one or two map concepts coming down the pipe as well. Once I get a few things taken care of, I'm actually pretty excited about them. So that'll be a lot of fun coming soon. Special thanks to our patron producer Ouroboros for helping support the show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Go in, check out the new rework patch. Lots and lots of new content, lots of potential games to get through for your quests. Try and get all those done, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
All right.
So, hilarious story. I did get a recording.
You did?
It came later, though, and I don't think it started at the very beginning. So, let me test it to see.
Mine, recorded the first few minutes and then blipped and started recording again and recorded the rest of it.
Oh, okay. Maybe I have what's in the blip. This
That'd
could
be super
interesting.
funny. Let's see here. Varian. I will link my build just in case anyone wants to see it. It's called Winning with Twinning.
Okay, so if it took the download, it's not in the folder that it said it was going to. So that's cool.
I'm so proud of you, Dr. Chard.
What's that here? I'm not even looking. Hang on. 4 of the win. Oh yeah. TBK would argue you're doing it right.
Yep.
Most everyone else wouldn't though. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know, man. The file is not in the folder.
It's okay. I'll throw what I have.
But there's a blip of it without, right?
Oh, I don't think it's very big, even if it is.
I could maybe cut it to where
You can check and see what it looks like.
Do you remember? Okay, I was thinking for the episode title, the whatever I said with the 2 kids being crushed pretty hard and they're mostly dead. I don't know. There's something in there. I need to go back maybe and hear the exact wording.
Something like they're only mostly dead.
Yeah, right.
It's like it's kind of like a Princess Bride callback.
Yeah, right.
He's only mostly dead.
Yeah, there's something there. Where the hell is this?
I'll just upload what I have to the folder.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Actually, I'm looking in the wrong spot. Okay, hang on. I have the call. Let's see if it's...
If all else fails, I'll rip the audio from the...
I know, yeah. It's worst case scenario, but still.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, that's so weird. It was not telling me about downloading the files, and yet I have an 8-minute one where after I've reloaded my computer, we're talking about it. I don't know. Okay, let's try this other one.
Who knows?
Oh, yeah, okay. And so I have an hour and 23 recording, but it starts with you talking about tweeting out the tweak to the system at the very beginning. So we don't have the very front part on mine. But the point is, I could probably blend them if your break is after that.
Yeah, well, I don't know how long my break is either, so we'll see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, total ham build. There you go. Full juggernaut. That is the ham. The ham chase them down. They cannot get away from you ever.
Mm-hmm.
Build. Very much. It's fun. I unfortunately do not have time for a game tonight.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Not with all the editing anyway. So,
but
if Gizmo was here to do it for me, then yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's true.
All the time in the world.
It pretty much all just comes down to it being his fault.
Everything is.
Yeah, everything is. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we've just learned to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck in your continued team league, and we will see you all next week.
Yep. See you guys.